Hello there and greetings, everybody. I want to welcome you here to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So today we are here to start a new mini series that Ben has put together, and we've had our discussion. This time I think we got it right. So what this is going to be entitled is Decades Apart. So unlike the previous series, which was called Decades 2, in which I discussed 10 years of albums from one point to another point on 4 different bands, this time he's going to give me I think he's going to give me six bands in which he picks an album, and then 10 years later we will talk about the other albums. So we're going to talk about the first album, which was in this case released in 1980, and the second album, which was released by the same band in 1990. So the first album, or the first album that we're going to start on today, is this one, Iron Maiden's debut album, released in 1980. So what is this album like? Okay, so I'm not a big fan of this album, so I will try to talk about it in terms of what it sounds like and everything without giving too much of my own opinion about the album. So it's very punky. It's got a little, well, I wouldn't say it's very punky, but it does have a punky element to it. I find the vocals are strong, but not necessarily clear, if that makes any sense. Like it's the enunciation is not great, but it's still strong. Lots of rawness to this album. It's almost like they're playing in a garage, but a great garage. So you've got a lot of that individual instrumentation. You can hear the guitar clearly. You can hear the bass clearly. The breakup of the song is clear, but it's raw. It's not as polished. It doesn't have that studio produced sound to it. It feels like it's almost like a concert at times. The music isn't as heavy on this as they have going forward, but it's still heavy. I would say it's still a metal sound for the most part, but maybe not a blistering metal sound, but still good. The album cover, of course, is the first one with Eddie on it. Looks like Eddie just woke up here after a bad nightmare. Actually, I think I look like this a couple times in the morning. But anyways, so strong album. As debuts go, I think it's pretty good. It's got a lot of, like I said, raw sound to it. But it's not one of my favorite albums by them. The opening track, Prowler, is a well-known track by them. Charlotte the Harlot is also on here, but this is a different version of that song as opposed to what you got on Number of the Beast. So a strong album, and there's you got a nice shot of the band members there. Now, if we're talking about who's in the band at this point in time, this is a very thick book, as you can see. Pretty thick book, hard to get actually out of there. But here is the members of the band. You got Dennis Stratton. I'm just trying to see where he is. So he's at this end. So Dennis Stratton, Clive Burr, Paul Di'Anno, Dave Murray, and of course, Steve Harris. So there's only 2 members here that are on the second album we're going to discuss. So it's still Steve Harris's band, but it's just not as polished as you get later on in the band. I think the drumming is strong, but more of a punk flavor to both the guitar and the drumming as well. So that's their debut album released in 1980. The second album that we're going to be discussing today is Iron Maiden's No Prayer for the Dying. Now, this just came out of my playlist maybe a month and a half ago. This could end up, for me, I think this may end up being their best album ever made by the band. It's very polished sounding. All the tracks on here are very memorable. You've now got five members of the band. You got Steve Harris again and Dave Murray, both again on this album. But now you have Bruce Dickinson on vocals as opposed to Paul Di'Anno. You've got Nico McBrain on drums, taking over from Clive Burr. And then you got Gears. Is it Gears? Yeah. Never been as familiar. Oh, Janet Gears. Yeah, Janet Gears, who took over from Adrian Smith, who took over from Dennis, who was on the first album here. So this album, much more polished, much more metal sounding. Hardly any. I wouldn't say there's any punk sound to this album at all. The vocals are much clearer. He enunciates much better. I think he's a better overall vocalist. Not that there's anything wrong with Paul Di'Anno. I think he's a good vocalist. I just think that Bruce Dickinson's voice is just that much stronger. You've got some really classic kind of heavy, ripping, beefy guitar parts, catchy guitar parts. The songs are all really good on here. This is a top flight Iron Maiden album and one of the best, I think, metal albums, period. There are 11 tracks on here. There isn't a bad one. Very metal sounding, of course, and very polished. There's none of that kind of raw sound that you get on that first album. This stuff is very polished. It's been orchestrated and produced and put together strongly. Now, I believe the producer of this album is probably Martin Birch, of course. I figured it was Martin Birch. I don't think he was on this album, this first one. I'm looking for his name. I'm not seeing it anywhere. Anybody knows, you can leave a comment in the comment section, but I don't think he was on the first album, but definitely big impactful here. So this album crunches. It's heavy metal in every regard of heavy metal. Very new wave heavy metal, if you want to call it. This is, I think, their last album of that initial period, although it's the first one without Adrian Smith, so maybe some people might say this is the first album of the next period, but they had like from 1982 with Number of the Beast right through to this album. They had a series of absolutely near perfect albums. This is just another one. You can see that the details of Eddie are much more intricate than they were on the original album. But still definitely have that feeling, that Iron Maiden feeling. I think this one is probably more of that Iron Maiden feeling than the initial one, but still really good. There's some absolute killer cuts on here. Tail Gunner, of course. The Assassin is fantastic. Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter, which is probably one of my favorite Iron Maiden songs. And then, of course, it ends off with the classic Mother Russia. Yeah, so this is a strong album. So they just continue to improve. This is a little bit more progressive. Well, actually, it's quite a bit more progressive in sound than you would have gotten on the original one, which is just a lot more punky and straightforward, hard rock, heavy metal sound to it, and very raw. So there you have it. Those are the two albums we've done for the initial episode here of Decades Apart, coming 10 years apart here from 1980 to 1990, featuring Iron Maiden. So you can see a big transformation here. So do I like these albums? Yes, I love this one. This one has got to be near the top of my Iron Maiden. I do like this album. I just don't like it as much as the other stuff. But anyways, so that's it for tonight. Iron Maiden, 1980 and 1990 from Decades Apart. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Please hit the like and subscribe. And if you want to make any comments about either album, and if anybody happens to know, I could probably look it up, but I'll leave that to anybody who wants to put down if that was, I don't think it was Martin Birch production on the first album. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this. Please make any comments. You feel free to make any comments that you want on Iron Maiden here. And we will be back next week with a second episode. I believe we're going to do 6 in total. He'll give me 2 more albums next week, and we'll discuss those, and hopefully it will be enjoyable. And we will see you then. So take care and have yourself a good evening. Goodbye.